guys, it's Mana here, and I've decided that we're gonna start Seduce Me 2, The Demon War. It's been about 2 years since we finished Seduce Me, the Otome, or Otame, or however you say it, I don't know. But it's been about 2 years since we finished that story. The initial ending we got was Forever Alone, basically. But in order to start this one, Forever Alone is not an option. So, we have to pick the incubi that we want to start with. And obviously, my go-to is going to be Eric, because that was the first one I went back and replayed so we could see his ending. My second would be Damien, who I think was the gray one. It's Damien, right? Pretty sure it was. So, unfortunately, for the sake of our story, the initial story, I can't do the Forever Alone route, because that doesn't get me to this point in the game, I guess. Because I'm pretty sure I showed the bonus video where it explained that on our wedding day we got pulled into the abyssal plane. So obviously we have to marry somebody in order to get to this point. So my first choice is gonna be Eric, because it's Eric. Me likey. Sorry. So we're just gonna get this started.
Hold on there! Before you start the game, I need to ask you a few things. Don't want you getting lost now.
But lost is my general state in life. Like, just complete loss.
First of all, have you read the first story, Seduce Me the Otome? Like, seriously read it. No skimming, no pretending to read it. No. It's okay if you haven't, but there are a lot of things in this game that you won't understand unless you fully experienced and understood that story first.
I have read it.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Next question. You do know this is Eric's route, right?
Wouldn't have it
you
any
know,
other
the
way.
second oldest incubus that calls you princess and is seductive and stuff.
They're incubi. Seductive is, the very definition of their nature.
Oh, awesome! All right then. Eric's a nice guy once you see under his Playboy mask.
Technically, we've already slept with him, so.
Anyway, I have one last question for you.
No.
Some people like hearing the trigger warnings before they start games, while others don't really care and just want to play. It's cool either way, but do you want to know about some of the content listed in the game?
I already know what some of the content is going to be. It's kind of self-explanatory. Seduce me, sex, demon war, kind of sums it up. But for people who like to have trigger warnings, I will go ahead and have them say this.
No problem. It's my pleasure. Well, this game is recommended for players ages 18 and up. Trigger warnings include suicide, war, torture, mentions of rape, and a large amount of violence and sexual content.
Kind of a given, but for the sake of pleasing everyone, or an attempt to anyway.
Don't worry though, any sex scene choice you encounter is completely up to you. You can play this game without needing to go through the sex scenes and still get the good endings. Consent is important.
It's a good message. Fantastic message. I don't think that was part of the first game. I think they were kind of mandatory in the first game. Meh.
I think that should be everything. All right. Phew, that took a while.
You forgot something.
Huh? What did I forget?
You forgot about the disclaimer.
Oh, crap! Oh, how could I have forgotten about that?
It's fine, I'll take care of it. This game was produced by Michaela Laws using the Ren'Py visual novel engine. We truly hope you enjoy this story.
I intend to.
Thanks, Diana. Now, don't you have a war to go fight?
I do. I just wanted to make sure everything was in order before the story began. I'll take my leave now.
Thanks, Di.
Do not call me Di!
Anyway, we really do hope you like the story. Have fun! See you at the end.
Oh, is that the only time I get to interact with you? Okay. A sweet lullaby, one you would hear as you were rocked in your mother's arms as a child. I could not help but adore such melodies with every ounce of my being, smiling whenever one would play for me. It was only fitting that I would enjoy my dreams with the sound of one playing in my head. My slumber was calm and peaceful as a sweet tune echoed in the abyss of my subconscious. I didn't know why, but I relished that tune that night. Strange, really, how a melody could calm any storm running through your heart. My storm was my engagement to Eric, my demon soulmate. Yes, he was my soulmate, my prince. At the same time, he was indeed a demon. I adored him with every ounce of my being, and I was about to be married to him in the weeks ahead. I couldn't have been more nervous and excited about the whole ordeal. Still, the lullaby that floated in my dreams kept me calm and at peace. I wondered if the same music could soothe an actual child. A child's laughter broke me from my peace, causing me to slowly open my eyes and awaken from my slumber. Excuse me. My eyes focused on the ceiling as I tried to figure out what that sound was. Was it part of my dream? It was effective enough to wake me up. I rose from the bed, looking around the room in confusion. Why had I heard a child's laugh, and how did it wake me up? It was strange to say the very least, a child's voice. However, before I could contemplate about it further, a slight dip in the bed to my side made me gasp softly in surprise. I looked to my side to see Eric still sound asleep beside me. He looked so peaceful and happy, like he was absorbed in a joyful dream of his own. I couldn't help but smile at the sight before leaning down and kissing his forehead. He shifted slightly, mumbling my name. And dip, 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 dip. I giggled softly. He was just too adorable for words. I truly loved him with all my heart. I love you. Still, despite wanting to stay in bed a little longer with the man of my dreams, the child's laughter ushered me to slowly creep out of bed and leave the room to find where it had come from. Turning on the lights in the lobby, I looked around the main part of the mansion to find out where the laughter had come from. I heard the laughter trail off, as if the voice itself was moving and guiding me where it wanted me to go. I maintained pursuit, not wanting to lose track of it. Any normal person would have been creeped out. Blech. I, however, was brave enough to figure out what was going on by myself. Yeah, that's what it is. I was led to my grandfather's office. It was his place of work, as well as his sanctuary for his magic study. I knew that he studied magic and had come to accept it during my time with Eric and his brothers. Still, it was something I was curious about. The lights were on, but the laughter seemed to have faded away as I entered the room. Was I not in the right place? As I stepped further into the room, I felt a sense of nostalgia. Despite only ever finding the room after my grandfather's passing, something about this place made me feel warm and happy, like I belonged here. Gotta get comfortable. This is where my grandfather imagined his greatest toys and made them come to life. It was here he studied endlessly about the demon world and demon magic. I felt like I was stepping into a museum of history. Thinking about it, I began to wonder what my grandfather would think if he knew that I was going to marry one of the incubi he had brought into the human world. I knew he had been the one to do it. Damien confessed to me when Eric proposed. It was a bit interesting to think about how he would have reacted. Would he be proud? Would he be disappointed? I could never know. I was broken out of my thoughts, however, as I heard the click of a lock unlatching echo through the room. I turned my head toward the sound, pinning the origin of it on one of the nearby drawers. Why did it unlock on its own? So I was a little nervous as to why it had done that. Open it! See if I can get myself killed within the first 15 minutes. I was indeed my grandfather's granddaughter. I felt my curiosity take control of my body and guide me to the drawer. Sliding it open, I saw 2 books neatly placed in the drawer, covered with a thin layer of dust. One was obviously my grandfather's magic book, and the other must have been his journal. I lifted both up and examined them, gingerly wiping the dust off of them. I wanted to read a bit more about each of them, but I wasn't sure which one to open first. Grandfather's journal! I decided to look through Grandfather's journal. Maybe he had something he wanted to show me. Wasn't entirely sure why I was doing this in the first place. I opened his journal and scanned my eyes across each page I flipped through. He had so many notes. It was hard to fathom him knowing so much about everything he wrote. He was so smart, though, so it wasn't entirely surprising. One section, however, made me stop and read in depth. Demon Children. On the page was a badly drawn sketch of a humanoid creature I had to assume was a demon. From the size, it could have been a child, however, I wasn't entirely sure. Apparently, there were multiple demon races, not just incubi and succubi. I mean, that's kind of a given. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of different demon types. Again, that's kind of a given. And each had their own methods on how they bred to produce children. Again, this is stating the obvious. Just saying. Demons of Lilith were the most human-like in terms of pregnancy. They bear the child for a set amount of time, and the delivery, paired with magic, was seamless and painless. However, as soon as the demon is born, the parents imbue their child's demon name into their souls. Okay. Seemed so confusing at first, but as I read further, I became more and more intrigued about demons and their children. Demon mothers, regardless of race, had to bear enough energy for both the mother and the child. This, along with a host of other reasons, were why females were the dominant gender in the abyssal planes. However, if a demon bearing a child didn't have enough energy, her child would absorb the last of it and kill off the mother in an attempt to sustain itself. Given. I swallowed thickly. Was energy that important to demons? How could a child even do that to their mother? They'd die off too. One thing was explicitly mentioned, however. Unlike humans, demons form souls in the womb, making them living beings while still forming in their mother's body. They become sentient as soon as they are conceived. That's terrifying. It was strange to think about. Demon babies were aware that they were alive before they were born. It was intriguing. The child's laughter reappeared, softly floating through the air and making me turn toward the door. I quickly followed it, leaving the room and returning to the lobby. Is anyone there? As I turned to the stairs, I could hardly believe my eyes. A floating orb, barely the size of my head, was floating down the stairs and toward the back doors. I gripped the railing and stared, not believing what I was seeing. Was this really happening? Too bad I can't see it. What was it even? A ghost? A spirit? Some illusion meant to trick me? I couldn't wrap my head around it. Still, it particularly called for me to tail behind it. Practically called. Sorry. Got distracted by the fact that the sound effects stopped. I continued to follow it. It seemed to want me to, anyway. Was this a game? It led me to the backyard, where it simply floated in the air near the gazebo. I stayed by the doorway, unsure of actually stepping out of the house to meet with it. It didn't move, so I could only assume it accepted my hesitation. Hello? Again, the music cut off.
Hi.
Okay, balloon boy. The orb gently spun around itself in a circle, almost like a happy child. For some reason, it made me feel really happy seeing it, despite it being a simply floating orb. It seemed friendly enough, so I stepped out into the backyard and slowly made my way towards it. It gently bobbed up and down, as if it was waiting for me to approach. I stopped a couple feet away from it, not wanting to get too close in case it was a trick. I'm pregnant, aren't I? I'm pregnant. And this is how my baby's communicating with me. This is fucked up. Hi there.
Hi. What's your name?
My name? Oh, it's Mana.
Wow. That's a pretty name.
Thank you. Thank you. Who are you?
Oh. I'm no one. I don't have a name.
This is my fucking baby. Talking to me. Holy shit. You don't have a name?
No. I wasn't able to get one.
Oh?
But that's okay. I'll get one soon.
Oh? The orb, whatever it was, had to be the spirit of some child. Human? I didn't know. Wasn't sure. All I knew was how sweet and innocent it sounded. The child's voice was pulling at my heartstrings in all the right ways. Like my brain is going 5,000 different directions going, this is good, this is bad, fuck, we're screwed. Those are just 3 of them. The orb twirled around again and again with a small laugh.
Let's play together.
Oh, I mean, what would we play? I almost couldn't believe the words coming out of my mouth. Was I really okay with playing games with a spirit? I mean, it was friendly, yes, but it was a spirit. What was I doing out in the middle of the night with it was another question I let go of and fade away in my head as I stared at the orb. Bleh. My heart felt fuzzy and warm enough to ignore the doubt nibbling at my brain. The orb dipped and spun around my body, making me giggle and try to follow it. As it circled back to where it used to be, it almost bounced in the air happily.
Come on, let's dance.
I began to dance around the orb as it moved gracefully around my form. In my head, a song began to play as I had fun weaving and swaying with the orb. I felt light and happy, even though part of my mind was questioning what I was doing. Why was I doing this? Why was I so accepting of this spirit? My body was moving on its own, but I was enjoying every minute of it. I mean, it makes sense that we're accepting of the spirit because, you know, we accepted incubi, we're marrying one. Shush bum. The orb followed along, matching each sway with one of its own. Soft laughter echoed from it once in a while after every couple of steps I took. It seemed to enjoy my company, which in turn somehow made me happy.
Princess?
Hi, honey. Good morning. The orb gasped and hid behind me as I stopped dancing. I turned quickly to see Eric standing by the door frame with a confused but tired look on his face. Eric.
What are you doing out here, love?
I blushed, rubbing my hands together behind my back from embarrassment. I must have looked like a fool dancing in the yard in the middle of the night. I turned my head to look at the orb, but gasped in surprise when I realized that it had disappeared. Go figure. What? Huh?
What's wrong?
I was beyond lost and confused. What was happening? What had just happened? I turned back to Eric to see him walking towards me. I crossed my arms, realizing how cold the night air was, and I smiled meekly at Eric. I just wanted to get some fresh air. That's all.
While dancing by yourself?
Did it look like I was by myself? 'Cause, sir, I was not. I stared at Eric, not sure of what he meant. If he was watching, he would have seen the spirit dancing with me. I'm gonna tell him. You didn't see that orb that was dancing with me?
Huh? Orb?
Eric raised an eyebrow, obviously not understanding what I meant. Did you really not see it? It's true. There was a spirit here that looked like an orb, and I was dancing with it. Not by myself. I knew I wasn't making sense. He didn't seem to believe me. Still, I didn't want to lie to him. He was going to be my husband soon, so we had to trust each other. If my reasons sounded stupid, fine, but at least it was the truth. Eric finally smiled and reached toward me before petting my head.
Did you have fun then?
Wait, he really did believe me. I wasn't entirely sure if he did, but from the look he gave me, he was willing to accept my answer either way. Eric gently reached out and took one of my hands, placing his other hand on my waist. I looked up at him to see his lips curve into a smile, a small, playful smirk.
Would you mind if I dance with you then, princess?
Not at all. My face turned red at his question, but I smiled and nodded. I liked dancing with him. I tightened my hand over Eric's, straightening up and leaning against his chest, ready to dance. Eric chuckled softly before leading me into a slow but elegant waltz around the backyard. I felt like I needed to thank the spirit later for giving me yet another wonderful memory with Eric. He led me around the backyard as if it were a real ball. The moon served as a brilliant crystal chandelier, and the wind became our music. Eventually, however, we had to go back inside. The night was cold, and it was very late. I didn't want the night to end, though. Watching Eric as we walked up the stairs to the bedroom, my heart began to flutter even more, and a soft heat began to burn in my core. He was not only charming, but he was handsome and definitely knew what buttons to press to make me feel amazing. It didn't matter that he was an incubus. I really had fallen in love with him, and was both romantically and sexually attracted to him. Though I did really want to pursue my desires right... did I really want to pursue my desires right now? We did just stop dancing. Go for it! The burning in my core wasn't just going to go away. As Eric and I approached our room, I quickly pulled his arm and turned him to face me.
What?
Whoop! There you go. Before he could finish his sentence, I jumped up and wrapped my arms and legs around him, kissing him deeply. Instinctively, he circled his arms around me to support me, but he stared in shock at my eagerness. Within seconds, he melted into the kiss and panted against my lips, making me moan in reply at the sound. These are much more... These are harder to read than the first one already. Oh, I don't know if I can do this, guys. This is getting awkward already. He tightened his grip around me as he walked backwards toward the bed. When his legs hit the side of the mattress, he sat down and allowed his hands to roam my back. I pulled away from his kiss ever so slowly, enjoying every moment that I was still connected to his lips before letting out a small sigh. Pretty sure I had made myself clear, but I gave him a softly spoken demand. I don't want to go to bed yet. Eric stared up at me before licking his lips and slowly running his hands under my shirt and up my back. A tingle shot up my spine and his fingers ran over my bare skin, a shuddering moan escaping my lips.
As my princess commands.
Oh, I don't know if I should have hit that button. I felt Eric gently lift up my shirt, and I lifted my arms for him to fully remove it from my body before he tossed it to the side. The cool air hitting my skin and made me shudder as Eric pulled me back from another heated kiss. I mean, there's no nudity. I'm gonna get demonetized. Shit happens. Damn his hands for memorizing my body. He knew what spots to caress, making me buck my hips against his and tighten my hold on him. When I felt a smirk against my mouth, I softly bit onto his lower lip, telling him silently not to play with me. I felt the warm sensation of enthrallment invade my body, causing me to cuddle closer against his chest and softly grind my hips against his feet. In need. His enthrallment was part of our foreplay, adding 10 times more pleasure to our sex. Oh god, I don't know if I can do this. I knew that he poured every ounce of his love for me into our lovemaking. Every time we had sex was just another confession of true love between us. It wasn't just need for hunger and desire. It became one of many ways we showed our love to each other. I mean, that's generally what that's used for, but okay. It was only a benefit that he was an incubus, a natural master of sex. Oh my god, why am I doing this to myself? Every touch made me tremble, and every kiss on my skin made me swoon and melt in his arms. He knew how to make me moan, how to make me crave him, how to make me shiver with ecstasy. I had been surprised to learn I was his first, and his only, with how talented he was. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get through it, I swear. Soon it wasn't just my shirt that was removed from my body. Every article of clothing he and I wore ended up scattered throughout the room, unnoticed and uncared for. The only thing we cared about was each other, and the pleasure that we gave each other on our bed. We made sweet and passionate love, rocking to the rhythms of our hearts and our desire for each other. Every moan I made, he matched in kind. Every breath I took, Eric found a way to make it heavier and hotter. My nails and fingers dug into his shoulders and back in pure ecstasy as he continued to drive me over and over. Oh! I'm making my life very awkward as I read this. I could only tighten my legs around him, pull him to more heated kisses, moan against his lips in desire. When we both apexed, it was blissful and fiery ride towards peaceful and loving wave wash. This is not as bad as written in the sky, at least. Lost in my pleasure, I could only cuddle into Eric's arms as he wrapped them around me and pulled me against his chest. His feather-like kisses peppered over my forehead, making me smile.
Good night, my princess. I love you.
Bitch, I'm gonna go take a shower. I feel gross after that. Love you too, Eric. I could only close my eyes and relish the warmth Eric gave me as I let my mind escape into dreamland. To my surprise, the child didn't return. I was a bit saddened, but I didn't let my thoughts linger on it any longer. Oh no, we just let it in. Oh, we have a baby coming. Calling it now, there's a baby in there. I had a peaceful dream with Eric wrapped around me all through the remainder of the night. As the morning came, however, the other incubi essentially kidnapped their brother. Despite my minor protests, knowing that we had work to do on the wedding, the brothers were relentless.
We're just stealing him for a bit. We'll return him later.
But we have to...
Everything will be alright. You can finish working on your dress while we keep him out of the house.
That's a good point. I mean, yeah, but...
You could survive a day without your love slave. You're marrying him, after all.
Shut up,
It's not like
Sam!
he'll be gone forever.
Shut up, Sam! I'm sick of your shit already.
Everything will be alright, princess, I promise. As soon as we're done with whatever they want to do, then I'll come straight home.
Nope. Okay. Love you! I could barely make out him saying I love you too as he was dragged away by his brothers. As the front door closed, I could hear Eric begin being thrown over someone's shoulder. Probably Sam's. I sighed before looking around the mansion. Since I was indeed alone, I had the chance to try and find that spirit again. Why had it run away the first time? I quickly rushed to the backyard, looking around. It was much brighter, yes, but perhaps the spirit was still there. Despite not being able to find it, I scoured the entire mansion in hopes of meeting the orb again. It almost became a game of hide-and-seek, only I didn't know if the orb was hiding or was gone. After a straight hour of looking around, I gave up. The orb was nowhere to be found, and I was certain I wouldn't meet it again. I could only let out a sigh at the thought, but I shook my head to forget about it at last. It had given me a moment with my love, so I was grateful. I went back into my room and flopped onto my bed, not really sure what to do. I could have organized what I was going to wear with my dress, but I really didn't want to pull my dress out of the garment bag it was in. Staring at the ceiling, I felt my eyelids slowly getting heavy, and soon I was letting my sudden drowsiness take hold of me. What was happening? Why did I feel like sleeping? It was close to noon, or was it past noon? Somehow couldn't remember anymore. I allowed myself to fall asleep, blaming the search and the wedding stress that lingered on my mind for tiring me out. My body floated in darkness, met once again by a soft and peaceful lullaby. This nap was perfect, and I definitely deserved it. My body felt comfortable, and my thoughts were lulled into a quiet hum that accompanied the lullaby in the air. You are in the way, sir. The only thing that would have made it better was Eric. As if my dream wanted to please me, an image of Eric appeared in my mind. He smiled his heart-pulling smirk at me, and I felt myself become warm and fuzzy just from his gaze. As he floated over to me, I became entranced in his eyes. My voice wouldn't come out, despite wanting to say his name, but I wrapped my arms around his neck and pulled him close to me. He leaned into my embrace, ghosting his lips over mine teasingly. Was Dream Eric trying to seduce me in my own dreams? I pressed forward, wanting to kiss him. We both didn't make a sound, but let our kiss relay our love for each other between our lips. My heart pounded in my chest as he wrapped his arms around my waist and pulled me even closer to him. It was strange. He felt so real in my arms. I combed my fingers through his hair, feeling the pink copper strands on top of his head. Yet this was a dream. I knew it was a dream. His arms gently ran along my back and waist, not daring to go below it, but making wonderful shivers run up my spine with each stroke. I really liked this dream, and tightened my hold on Eric, letting him know that I enjoyed his touch. Eric eventually pulled away from the kiss and smiled down at me, running a hand over my hair and caressing my cheek. I stared up at him lovingly, feeling a soft swell in my lips from the kiss we had shared. What I didn't expect was him slowly leaning down and planting a soft kiss over my chest, just over where my heart is. I stared, unsure of why he did such a thing. As my heart began to feel warm and lighter, I let a silent sigh out of my throat, feeling the pleasure of its sensation. Eric slowly backed away and disappeared, but I continued to feel the warmth over my heart sweetly emanate through my veins like a slow adrenaline rush. What was happening to me? Tingles ran across every nerve in my body, making me shiver in delight. Whatever this was, I liked it. Soon the warmth lulled me into a peaceful hum, and I curled into myself, wrapping my arms around my body from the comfort it brought. I felt at peace while my body felt like it was embracing the warmth enveloping it. It was strange, but I accepted the restful feeling. Click. Oh, you again. What? From the darkness, dark laughter invaded the air, breaking the lullaby and making a sudden cold feeling wash over my skin. Before I could react, however, a large and deep pain invaded my chest, almost like a sword stabbing all the way through my body. I could not see anything of the sort as I looked down at my chest, while my hands tightened over where the pain had erupted from. What was happening? I coughed, feeling blood splash out of my mouth and drip down in my lungs. I gasped for air, disgusted by the coppery taste in my mouth. But I was unable to break out of the illusion. I needed to wake up. The stabbing pain ripped through my insides as if the invisible blade in my chest unsheathed itself from my torso, and I felt a second stab through my stomach, more blood gushing from my mouth. Someone help me! I felt my body slowly start to shut down. Was I dying in my own dream? Why couldn't I wake up? Cold waves ran through my nerves, numbing my body as if I was indeed slowly dying. As blood dripped from my chin, I felt lightheaded in the darkness. But an almost violent shake broke me from my dream, forcing me to physically open my eyes. Hi, honey! I gasped for air, no longer able to taste blood or feel pain. I was back in my room, staring at Eric's concerned face as he held my shoulders. I shuddered from the experience, unable to forget the feeling of being stabbed in my own dream. Eric, however, had saved me.
Love, what happened? You were thrashing around and...
I didn't let him finish. I grabbed Eric's body and slammed myself into his chest, happy to no longer be trapped in the dream, and thankful that he woke me from it. Eric wrapped his arms around me and gently rubbed my back, soothing me as I began to cry into his shoulder.
Did you have a nightmare?
You have no idea. It was terrible. I was being attacked by something in the darkness. I couldn't do anything about it.
Shh. It's okay now. You're safe. I'm right here.
I could only nod as Eric rocked me back and forth, comforting me. It may have been a dream, but I was still mortified by it. It seemed almost too real to be just a dream. I didn't want to think about it anymore. Didn't want to remember the dream, especially how horrible it was. I was supposed to be getting mentally ready for my wedding, not having nightmares about dying. Eric kissed over my hand and face, trying to soothe my sadness. He wiped away my tears and continued to hold me close until I was calm and relaxed. I tried to reassure myself that it was a dream. It was just a stupid dream. Just a nightmare. Eric gently pulled away, not releasing me from his arms, and looked down at me with a soft frown.
I'm sorry that I left. I should have been here, making sure that you had good dreams.
How could you have known that I was going to have a nightmare like that, though? I shook my head. Eric needed to spend time with his brothers. It was important enough to him that he let himself be dragged away by them. No, it's all right. I'll be fine.
Are you sure, Princess?
God, I hope so. Yeah, I'm sure. I had to shake this off. I didn't know what was going on, but now Eric was here and could be with me in case anything else happened. After I had finally calmed down, Eric told me about what the boys had done. They took Eric to a cafe deep in downtown Chicago, just wanting to have a brother-to-brother talk with him. I was happy he got to spend time with them, but Eric had practically rushed home to return to me. The dream did not appear again that night. Eric used his powers to enter my dreams and kept me safe from anything that tried to hurt me, and thankfully nothing did. However, there was a strange feeling in my gut that didn't sit right with me. For some reason, Eric's comfort didn't make me feel okay. It was as if I didn't want him to be in my dreams. My heart knew this was a problem, but I was unsure of how to respond to this new feeling. Slowly, as the days passed by and our wedding approached, the feeling became more aggressive. Soon, I was becoming irritated more easily. I'm gonna end it here because I didn't want to record for over half an hour, and I already did, so well done me. When we come back, obviously, we're gonna pick up here. I'm just gonna take a wild guess that spirit showed up, and because we slept with Eric, the spirit is now inside my baby, and things are happening. Demon baby. It's gonna happen. I'm just calling it now. As for what I'm gonna name that baby, I have no idea. So, leave me some baby names down there in the comments. It'd be fantastic. It's a weird thing to request on the internet, baby names. But yeah, we'll come back to this. I think I'm gonna go back to my original schedule where I did visual novels on Mondays. I'll probably fix that scene in Detroit Become Human on Wednesday, and then maybe Friday we'll go through and do the chapter 2 with the seeing tool of bending the ink machine. So, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Give me some baby names for my demon child that I'm apparently going to have. I think I'm going to have. I don't know. Give me some good ones. I'll see you guys later, and remember to do something nice for a stranger today. You may just save a life. Bye!